All right, it's time to shake things up. I gotta ask you guys one of the deepest questions I know to ask. And if you wanna get to know the person you're sitting next to tonight, be sure to listen in on what they say, all right? You ready for it? Who is the greatest NBA player of all time? Go ahead, shout it out. Who do you think it is? All right. Okay, we got a lot of thoughts. I wanna make sure that we're all on the same page because some of you might be drastically mistaken here. The greatest NBA player of all time is Michael Jordan. That's right, undeniably, he is the best of the best when it came to basketball. And today, we're gonna find out how he did it and what it means to be all in. This is Make the Switch. All right, some of you might disagree that he's the greatest player of all time, but one thing we can all agree on, Michael Jordan was exceptionally talented when it came to basketball. In fact, check this out. 6 times he got the championship ring, 5 times he was the league MVP, 10 different seasons he scored more points than anyone else in the league, and if you take all the points that Michael Jordan scored over his whole career of 15 seasons, that's 32,292 points, and divide that up over the 1,072 games that he played, this guy scored over 30 points per game. That's nuts. And in case you're curious, that's 1 3-pointer above LeBron and Durant in their averages. Not to mention, he was the star of one of the greatest films of all time, looking at you, Space Jam, and more business deals than we could even talk about. He has accomplished a lot. But one thing stands above all those accomplishments. When it came to playing basketball, Michael Jordan was the best of the best. I remember when I was a kid looking up to Michael Jordan and wanting to be as good as him at something, at anything really. I'd be willing to bet that a lot of you have thought that at some point too, that you just really want to be good at something. Maybe it's something you're already doing, like being on a sports team or writing. For others of you, it might be a risk that you really want to take one day, like starting a business or moving somewhere after high school. No matter what your dream might be, I don't want you to miss out on something. Michael Jordan did not wake up one day all of a sudden brilliant at basketball. He had to put in the hard work, time, and practice to become the best of the best over a long period of time. And for him to do that, he chose to reorient his entire life around this one thing, getting better at basketball. When it came to his sport, MJ was all in.
Who is Michael Jordan?
He's a basketball player.
He was the best basketball player in the world.
The best basketball player in the world.
Yes.
Greatest basketball player of all time.
The greatest basketball player of all time.
Well, y'all got the shoes on? Can we get a look at them shoes? What? Who is the greatest athlete on the face of the planet to you?
To me, honestly, I would probably have to go with Ricky Fowler.
It's either between like Adrian Peterson or Des Bryant.
Okay, I'm gonna have to say Michael Phelps.
Simone Biles.
Gabby Douglas.
Michael Phelps.
Oh, Usain Bolt.
I don't know.
Like you don't have one at all? Like anybody?
If I want to be a supportive sister, I'd say my little brother.
Besides me, I'd probably say, my mom's she's pretty fit.
Oh, your mom's pretty fit? Okay, cool. Don't know where we're going with that. I'm not even gonna touch that with a 10-foot pole. Anyways.
The most decorated Olympian of all time is U.S. swimmer Michael Phelps. Do you know how many Olympic medals he has in total? A, 23, B, 28, C, 9, D, the gold medals aren't even made of pure gold. The answer is B, 28. Michael Phelps has 23 gold medals, 3 silver medals, and 2 bronze medals, making him the most decorated Olympic athlete of all time.
recent study took a bunch of people who were the best of the best in their fields, scientists, political figures, businessmen, businesswomen, athletes, and they tried to figure out if there was anything consistent that helped them become so good in their fields. And a fascinating part of that study found that it takes on average about 10,000 hours to become a master at something. 10,000 hours to become the best of the best. It's hard for me to even wrap my mind around that kind of time. So let's break it down here. Let's say that you decide that you're gonna practice for an hour a day to get better at something. How long do you think it would take you to get 10,000 hours? It would actually take you over 27 years to get there. That's nuts. But let's say you upped it. Let's say that you decide that every day when you get home from school, you'll do all your homework, and for 4 hours, you're gonna spend all of that time dedicated to getting better at that one thing. Now guess how long it would take you to get 10,000 hours? Just under 7 years. And that's a lot better, but can we agree that's still a long time? And I don't know about you, but for me, doing one thing for 4 hours day after day after day would be really hard to do. You know, discipline is necessary when it comes to growing in any area of our life. But when that discipline comes from an attitude of being willing to do whatever it takes and going all in, we find ourselves becoming more like Michael Jordan, becoming the best of the best every single day.
Hi, my name is Dallas, and for 8 years, I was a professional poker player. Today, we're going to be talking about the concept of going all in poker. So in poker, everyone starts off getting dealt 2 cards. At that point, if you like your hand, which I do, at that point, I'm going to make a bet and continue playing this hand. Now, when my opponents call me, we're going to burn a card and we're going to go to the flop, which is 3 cards. This hand's still looking good, so now I'm gonna bet again. At this point, once again, if any one of my opponents call me, we're gonna burn a card and go to the turn. Yeah, I'm definitely not folding this hand. So now I'm gonna make a little bit bigger bet. Once again, if I'm called by my opponents, we're gonna go to the final card, which is called the river. Burn a card, and we have the river. At this point, I have the very best hand possible. I have 3 options. I can fold, that wouldn't be very smart. 2, I can make a bet that I think makes sense. Or 3, I can go all in. The idea of going all in poker is something you've heard us speak about. And what that means is for you to risk everything in front of you. Now, going all in is scary, but if you have a hand that's strong enough and you believe in, it's a risk worth taking.
Really, when we're talking about being all in, we're talking about being disciples. Now, a disciple is someone who chooses to learn and grow in a specific way. And I would argue that all of us are disciples of something. Some of you are disciples of fashion. You're always checking out the latest trends and trying to perfect your style. Others of you might be disciples of technology. Maybe you're good at code or figuring out how stuff works. Others of you, like Michael Jordan, are disciples of a sport. Man, you live it, you breathe it, you practice as much as you possibly can. And when we choose to follow Christ, we're actually choosing to become disciples of him. And I know that word was used mostly for these 12 guys who followed him around while he was on earth, but let's look at how 2 of those guys started following him in the first place. In Matthew 4:18-20, it says, "One day, as Jesus was walking along the shore of the Sea of Galilee, he saw 2 brothers, Simon, also called Peter, and Andrew, throwing a net into the water, for they fished for a living. Jesus called out to them, 'Come, follow me, and I will show you how to fish for people.' And they left their nets at once and followed him." So it says that Peter and Andrew fished for a living, and honestly, that's putting it lightly. See, back in this time, your job was your life. Chances are that their family had a fishing business, and day in, day out, Peter and Andrew are out there getting the fish that they need to succeed. And in the middle of all of that, Jesus comes in and jacks it all up by offering them something different. He tells them instead of being disciples of fishermen, you could be disciples of me. And the scripture says that they got up at once, left their nets, and followed him. And leaving their nets was about more than just leaving behind something that they owned. It was about leaving behind their family, leaving behind their business, and leaving behind everything that they thought their life was going to be about. They decided to go all in and follow Christ. But what about your life? Are you all in when it comes to following him? Because we're all growing, and you can be growing intentionally or accidentally, but you are not going to wake up one day and just all of a sudden feel close to God. What would it look like for you to orient your life around God instead of just trying to add him into your life? What would it look like for you to be a true disciple of Christ? What would it look like for you to be all in?
What does it mean to you to be a disciple?
Just to follow Christ and to read the word.
Disciple for me, it just basically means like anyone who is willing to follow something greater.
To follow Christ with your whole life.
To follow someone with all your heart.
Just to know God and share your faith.
It means that you go and you spread the news of Jesus.
What does it mean for you to be all in with Christ?
All in for Christ is just literally eating, living, and breathing the Word of God, and just spreading the gospel to all who don't know and even those who do know.
To me, that means to be fully surrendered. Like, your emotions and decisions are no longer yours. You just have to follow Christ with all you are.
Committing your entire life and everything you do and doing everything for him.
What does it mean to be all in for Christ?
Just to spew Christ's love to everybody else and to live the Christ way.
Very cool, I like it.
One of our greatest desires for you here is that you are becoming a fully devoted follower of Christ. My question for you is simple. Is that you? Is your life fully devoted to following after Jesus? Or are there nets in your life that you need to get up and get away from so you can wholeheartedly seek him? Because your life is going to be oriented around something. You will be a disciple of something. Today, choose to make that something God. Instead of just adding him to your life, seek him wholeheartedly. You are a disciple of Christ if you just choose it. Choose to be all in. Get up and follow him.